Gus Johnson was a must-watch player, producing highlights at ease, standing at 6'6" and full of muscle combined with speed, becoming a frequent high flyer, throwing down dunks hard on the break, even breaking 3 backboards over his career, being the first player to do so from dunking. Yet Johnson's gravity-defying dunks were not the only thing that made him fun to watch, as Gus Johnson regularly threw flashy passes to his teammates and can hit the mid-range jump shot with the best of them, on top of having the capability to post up anyone with his strength. However, Johnson was not all flash, as he did the dirty work as well, rebounding at a high rate and playing elite defense guarding every position. All of these elements combined saw Gus Johnson become a 5-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA player, and 2-time All-Defensive Team member, while playing for the Baltimore Bullets, helping them to their first postseason in franchise history and later to the NBA Finals, before consistent knee injuries caught up to him, as injuries were the only thing to slow down Gus Johnson's career, then ending his career in the ABA with the Pacers being an instrumental part of the team winning an ABA championship, coaching the Pacers to a win in the finals as a player coach after Slick Leonard got ejected, and managed to slow down Artis Gilmore Game 7, winning the series for the Pacers and retiring a champion. This is a look back on Gus Johnson's Hall of Fame career. Gus Johnson was born and raised in Akron, Ohio, and growing up, Johnson was a bit of a drifter, only really focusing on the Bible and basketball, going on to attend Central High School to play his ball, teaming up with the high school basketball teammate that would become a fellow future Hall of Famer as well in Nate Thurmond, creating a tough duo to deal with, resulting in Gus Johnson picking up a few college scholarship offers to play. Gus Johnson would decide to attend Akron initially, but would quickly decide to drop out before the basketball season started, going on to join an AAU team called the Cleveland Pipers, who played in the National Industrial Basketball League, where he played well and got spotted by a colleague of Idaho's head coach, with Idaho soon offering Gus Johnson a scholarship, which he accepted. He would not be joining right away, as he would attend Boise Junior College to get his grades up to attend Idaho. While at Boise, Johnson played junior college ball, tearing apart the competition, averaging 30 points and 20 rebounds a game, making his addition to Idaho very anticipated the following season. And Gus Johnson would not disappoint, going on to be Idaho's best player right away, posting averages of 19 points and 20.3 rebounds, which was second in the NCAA. Johnson earned All-America accolades and set multiple records in the rebounding category for Idaho, even earning his nickname during this time, Honeycomb, that stuck the rest of Johnson's career, as Gus Johnson was given the nickname for his sweet style of play and sporting a gold star on his front teeth. Johnson would help propel Idaho to new heights, going 20-6, however they missed the NCAA tournament as there was less teams competing in the tournament back then compared to today. After Johnson's lone season at Idaho, he decided to turn pro, looking NBA ready as he was one of the first players to be playing above the rim with his unique blend of strength, speed, and jumping capabilities while having the motor to back it all up. And in the 1963 NBA draft, in the second round with the 11th overall pick, Gus Johnson was selected by the Baltimore Bullets. Johnson was joining a Bullets franchise in the early years of existence, led by Walt Bellamy and Terry Dissinger. In Baltimore, Gus Johnson quickly gained the trust of head coach Slick Leonard and would become a starter, being the Bullets' third leading scorer on the team with 17.3 points a game and second on the team in rebounding at 13.6, while also looking like the team's best defender at times, earning Gus Johnson first-team All-Rookie honors and finished runner-up for Rookie of the Year to Jerry Lucas. The highlight of the year, though, for Johnson came against the Warriors as he shattered the backboard on a dunk, and the fix-up time was long-lasting, and the NBA implemented a new rule that you had to have a backup backboard on standby for games because of Gus Johnson. In the end, the Bullets finished the season at 31-49, missing the playoffs, but the team looked to be steadily improving on the right path. The offseason came around and the Bullets made a blockbuster trade to speed up the timeline to the team's success, trading Terry Dissinger to the Detroit Pistons for Don Ohl and Bailey Howe. The additions of Ohl and Howe helped open up Gus Johnson's game as he improved his outputs to 18.6 points and 13 rebounds, and he even broke another backboard this time against the Hawks in a close one on a dunk, helping Gus Johnson make his first All-Star appearance, where he would leave his impact scoring 25 points in the game and grabbing 8 rebounds, then finishing the season strong, making All-NBA second team, with the Bullets going 37-43, making it into the playoffs for the first time in the team's history as the 3 seed. The Bullets in the playoffs got a series against the St. Louis Hawks, led by Bob Pettit, Zelmo Beatty, Bill Bridges, Lenny Wilkins, and Cliff Hagan. The Bullets had entered as underdogs, but they'd proceed to upset the Hawks 3-1 as Bob Pettit was banged up and not performing at his normal level of efficiency. Gus Johnson's best individual game of the series was a 19-point-14 rebound Game 3, helping the Bullets to a victory. The Bullets, making it into the Western Division Finals, met the Los Angeles Lakers, headed by Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, Rudy LaRusso, and Dick Barnett. The Bullets, one could argue, were a deeper team entering the series, but Jerry West was on the other team, and West proceeded to put up astronomical numbers in the series, averaging 46.3 points a game, as Jerry West helped push the Lakers to several close victories, winning the series in 6 games. Gus Johnson, in his first postseason experience, took on a smaller role as the team's fourth option behind Bellamy, Howell, and Ole, still contributing highly on both ends, adapting to the change, averaging 15.8 points and 11.1 rebounds. Entering next season, one would think the Bullets would want to keep the core together after being one win away from a finals appearance, but 8 games in, the Bullets would trade away Walt Bellamy, creating more responsibilities for players like Johnson. However, this would be a year of injuries for Gus Johnson, as he would battle injuries, in particular with his knees, throughout the rest of his career. Johnson this season suited up for 41 games, averaging 16.5 points and 13.2 rebounds. When he was healthy, despite the limited time on the court, Johnson's impact was enough to be second-team All-NBA again. But the Bullets remained hurting, with Bellamy being traded away and Johnson battling injuries, yet remained somewhat afloat due to the emergence of Kevin Loughery, going 38-42, making it into the playoffs the 2 seed, meeting the Hawks round 1 again, who no longer had Pettit as he retired. However, Gus Johnson could barely go 1 game this series, and without Johnson, the Hawks swept the Bullets as Bill Bridges picked them apart. The 1 game Gus Johnson played this postseason, he played 8 minutes, recording 2 points. In the offseason after the early exit, the Bullets decided to trade away Bailey Howell and retool, taking Jack Marin in the draft to fill his production. Gus Johnson returned back healthy this season to become the team's leading scorer at 20.7 points per game while averaging 11.7 rebounds. However, Ole was not healthy throughout this time, and Marin was good, but no Howell, resulting in the Bullets going 20-61, missing the playoffs. After the poor season, the Bullets selected well with their high draft pick, taking Earl Monroe, making Ole expendable with the team trading him away mid-year, as Monroe was quickly becoming the team's go-to scorer, with Gus Johnson complimenting him well as the second option, averaging 19.1 points and 13 rebounds, making his second All-Star game, but only suited up for 60 games, missing a few games with injuries still, which was enough to see the Bullets slip out of the playoff picture, ending at a 36-46 record. In the NBA draft for the 3rd year in a row, the Bullets selected well again, taking Wes Unseld, who quickly became the team's best player and the best player in the league. Meanwhile, Johnson looked good throughout the early parts of the year, complimenting Monroe and Unseld, averaging 17.9 points and 11.6 rebounds, becoming an All-Star for the 3rd time. However, he only finished the season playing in 49 games, picking up an injury ending his season. Without Gus Johnson, the Bullets took a slight dip, but Wes Unseld was pushing the team to new heights, being the best player in the league at the time, winning the MVP, helping the Bullets go at the time a franchise best 57-25, earning the 1 seed, getting a round 1 matchup against the New York Knicks with Willis Reed, Walt Frazier, Dave DeBusschere, Dick Barnett, and Bill Bradley. Over the series, the Bullets looked like anything but the 1 seed, getting swept out of the playoffs by the Knicks as Willis Reed carried them, with Gus Johnson's absence from injury being a large reason for the sweep of the 1-seeded Bullets. Gus Johnson returned the following year, bouncing back all healthy again, averaging 17.3 points and 13.9 rebounds, making another All-Star appearance, All-NBA second team again, and his first All-Defensive first team. All the while, the Bullets took a slight dip, but still looked solid, going 50-32, making the playoffs as the 3 seed, meaning the team who had sent them home in the playoffs round 1 the other year in the New York Knicks. The Bullets found themselves in an early 2-0 hole, with New York winning both of its home games despite Johnson's best efforts Game 2 with a game-high 28 points. Back in Baltimore, the series was tied back up rather quickly after strong showings from Monroe, but back in New York, it was the same tale, losing in a blowout as Reed put up a 30-30 game. In Baltimore, Game 6, the Bullets found success, staving off elimination behind Gus Johnson's 31 points, forcing a Game 7 in New York. However, the home trend continued, the Knicks won, sending the Bullets home packing. Gus Johnson had almost helped the Bullets pass the Knicks this time, showing his importance in creating a what-if for the prior year as he averaged 18.4 points and 11.4 rebounds over the series. Gus Johnson and the Bullets had high expectations entering the following season, and Johnson delivered on his part, averaging 18.2 points and a career-high 17.1 rebounds, becoming an all-star, all-defensive first-team, and second-team All-NBA again, but battled some injuries playing in 66 games. But when he was healthy, he managed to shatter the backboard again, this time against the Bucks in a frustration on a dunk as his team was getting blown out. Despite Johnson seeming to be in full form, the Bullets as a whole could never seem to piece things together, even though it had maintained the same core, floundering through stretches, losing winnable games, going 42-40, still managing to make the playoffs through all the tribulations. And round one brought a matchup against the Philadelphia 76ers headed by Billy Cunningham, Hal Greer, and Archie Clark. When the series started, the Bullets looked like the team from the prior year that had been missing the whole entire regular season, jumping out to a 3-1 lead, with Johnson's best game being Game 3 with a 17-point, 16-rebound performance. The Bullets, needing one more win to advance, dropped the next two games as Billy Cunningham elevated his play, creating a Game 7 where the stars of Philadelphia shined again, but the Bullets came through behind a well-rounded team performance, with Johnson chipping in his part with 19 points and 17 rebounds, advancing the Bullets to the conference finals, to face none other than the New York Knicks again in the playoffs. Entering the series, Gus Johnson had picked up an injury from the series prior, having to miss the first 5 games of the series, seeing the Knicks again take advantage of his absence, going up 3-2, but the Bullets were still in it as Reed was not 100% himself. Game 6, Gus Johnson returned to action in a smaller role as the team's sixth man, not fully healthy, trying to spark the Bullets to victory, where he would and help the Bullets tie up the series. Game 7 in New York was a place the Bullets commonly struggled to win in the past, found themselves in a physical battle that was tight, but they would hold on to the lead late by 2 after another big game from Monroe and Unseld. The Knicks would have one final look to tie up the game, getting the ball to Bill Bradley, who took the shot, but it would be barely tipped by Unseld, sending the Bullets into the NBA Finals, finally getting past the New York Knicks in the playoffs. In the finals, the Bullets faced the Milwaukee Bucks with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Oscar Robertson, and Bob Dandridge. Unfortunately, the Bullets entered this series without Gus Johnson, as his knees provided to be issues again, hurting them as they needed all the firepower they could get to compete with the Bucks. Johnson, who only could suit up for 2 games over the series, was not at his All-NBA form when he was, resulting in the Bullets getting swept by the Bucks, as Jabbar could not be stopped by anyone in the NBA at the time. Gus Johnson's injuries created a big what-if again this postseason, as he played in 11 games, averaging 13 points and 10.4 rebounds over the run to the NBA Finals. Entering next season, the Bullets would try to bolster the team to make a run back to the finals, adding Phil Chenier through the draft and trading for Archie Clark early into the year. However, hopes of going back were quickly diminished because the Bullets traded away Earl Monroe after not meeting his contract demands, and Gus Johnson could not bounce back from injury like he had the prior years, playing in only 39 games, looking a shell of his former self the year prior, averaging 6.4 points and 5.8 rebounds. The Bullets took a big step back, missing Johnson and trading away Monroe, going 38-44, but still managed to make the playoffs. Round 1 again brought a series against the New York Knicks, and surprisingly, they kept the series close at times thanks to Clark's play, but ultimately were overmatched by Walt Frazier, losing 4-2. Gus Johnson only went for 5 of the 6 games this series, averaging 4 points and 5 rebounds. In the offseason, the Bullets would trade for Elvin Hayes and draft Kevin Porter, all of which made the aging, oft-injured Gus Johnson expendable, ending with Gus Johnson being traded before the season started to the Phoenix Suns for a future pick that became Tom Patterson. Phoenix had hoped Johnson could find his old form with them, and he would slightly look better than the prior year, averaging 7.8 points and 6.5 rebounds in his first 21 games, but Johnson was not shooting it as efficiently anymore, and the Suns were struggling, even going through a coaching change, so the Phoenix Suns decided to waive Gus Johnson, ending his season in the NBA. Just because his season in the NBA was over did not mean his basketball was, as Gus Johnson as a free agent would sign with the Indiana Pacers of the ABA, being recruited to play for the Pacers by his former head coach Slick Leonard, who had wanted Johnson to provide veteran leadership to its young core competing for a championship. behind a deep Pacers team with George McGinnis, Mel Daniels, Freddie Lewis, Donnie Freeman, Darnell Hillman, and Roger Brown. Gus Johnson on the floor became the Pacers' backup power forward/small forward, playing in 50 of the remaining games to average 6 points and 4.9 rebounds. And off the floor, Johnson was being the locker room guy the Pacers had hoped for, acting like a coach at times as the Pacers went 51-33, making the playoffs as the 2 seed. Round 1, the Pacers faced the Denver Rockets, headed by Ralph Simpson, where the Pacers quickly dispatched to the Rockets 4-1 as the team depth of the Pacers could not be matched by Denver. Making it into the Western Division Finals to play the Utah Stars with Willie Wise, Zelmo Beatty, Ron Boone, and Jimmy Jones. The series would be a closer one than the prior, being tied up after 4 games with McGinnis and Wise going back and forth, before the Pacers eked out a victory Game 5 with a good rounded team performance in Utah, and then rode the momentum back at home in a game behind McGinnis to win the series 4-2. Advancing the Pacers to the ABA championship to match up against the Kentucky Colonels, who had an equally star-studded team as the Pacers with Artis Gilmore, Dan Issel, and Louis Dampier. The Pacers Game 1 found themselves trailing late before Mel Daniels rallied off 5 straight baskets, and then Roger Brown followed it up, hitting a deep jumper to send the game to overtime. And in overtime, the Pacers held on late to a victory as Freddie Lewis drove to the rim and scored, never looking back, stealing Game 1 in Kentucky. Kentucky afterwards would respond, winning the next 2 games as Gilmore commanded the Colonels. Game 4, the series started to get hot and heated from the get-go, with a fight breaking out between Rick Mount and Donnie Freeman. And once the first half ended, Slick Leonard got ejected, complaining to the refs about how the game was unfolding. And who would step in to fill Slick Leonard's role as the head coach? None other than Gus Johnson, becoming a player coach, where he got the Pacers motivated, in particular Darnell Hillman, who led Indiana to a narrow, hard-fought victory. Game 5 was another battle, but the Pacers trailed late by 1, slowly working itself back into the game, and the Pacers in the clutch went to their best player in George McGinnis, but he would fumble the ball out of the bounds on an entry pass, seeming to lose the Pacers the game. But the following play, George McGinnis made up for his error, stealing the inbound pass, taking it to the hoop himself for a dunk, giving Indiana the victory in dramatic fashion. Game 6, it was thought to be that the Pacers were going to win the championship on home floor, but again, Kentucky bounced right back behind Gilmore, winning the game, forcing a Game 7 in Kentucky. Game 7, the Pacers would change things up, inserting Freeman into the starting lineup, but more importantly, stuck Gus Johnson off the bench to guard Gilmore, who he would slow down just enough as McGinnis was clicking, winning the Pacers the ABA championship. Gus Johnson was a champion at last. Johnson's impact over the run may have not been shown in the box score, as he averaged 2.5 points and 4.1 rebounds, but the Pacers do not win a championship without Gus Johnson stepping in to coach the team in the finals to a victory and to guard Gilmore Game 7. After the season, Gus Johnson decided to retire on top as a champion. Knee injuries had limited Gus Johnson to 10 years in the ABA and NBA, where he averaged 16.2 points and 12.1 rebounds over his career, later going on in retirement to get his jersey retired by the Bullets and enter the NBA Hall of Fame in 2010. Gus Johnson will be looked back on as a player who was ahead of his time, being one of the game's first high flyers scoring for dunks, while also having the strength to tear the rim off, literally doing so 3 times, and coupled his strength with great speed, making him electric to watch, even throwing flashy passes and hitting jumpers with ease. But Gus Johnson would do the dirty work as well, including rebounding at a high rate and locking down any possession defensively, all of which combined together helped Gus Johnson become a 5-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA, and 2-time All-Defensive Team player with the Baltimore Bullets, helping the team go all the way to the NBA Finals, before consistent knee injuries caught up to Johnson, ending his NBA career early, then joining the Indiana Pacers of the ABA for one season, being a large part in helping the Pacers win the ABA championship, in particular with his defense Game 7 on Artis Gilmore, and stepping in to coach for Slick Leonard, guiding the Pacers to a victory in the finals as a player coach. Gus Johnson, put simply, did whatever the team demanded of him to win games. Thanks for watching this video on Gus Johnson's career. If you want to see any other videos about any other random players, leave them in the comments below, and I may or may not decide to do them. Who knows? Thanks again for watching. This has been Skid Denver.